Yvonne Ndege. She is a spokesperson for the International Organization for Migration, and she joins me now from Nairobi in Kenya. Hi, Yvonne. Thanks for being with us. First, tell us more about this migration route. I mean, one can understand why Yemenis would be fleeing war, but why risk, a life-risking journey to go the other direction?
Well, in this case, and related to this particular tragedy that we witnessed in Djibouti on Sunday, the migrants on the boat who perished were mainly Ethiopians and Somalis who had been in Yemen trying to reach Yemen's border with Saudi Arabia. Every year, thousands, if not tens of thousands, of migrants from the eastern Horn of Africa leave the continent, cross the Gulf of Aden, often through Djibouti, which is the shortest route, arrive in Yemen, and travel up to the country's border with Saudi Arabia in an attempt to cross to find jobs and opportunities. Since the COVID-19 outbreak and the widespread land, air, and border closures, it has been impossible for many of these migrants to get across to the Gulf nations, where, like I said, they're seeking work. So on this particular tragic occasion, what we have found is that these particular migrants were trying to return to leave Yemen and come back to Djibouti, which is a major transit country for such migrants, and wait out COVID-19 in an attempt to try again. This route is incredibly popular amongst migrants from the Eastern Horn of Africa. Like I said, it's one of the shortest routes to the Gulf countries, and many every year take this dangerous risk, the kind that we've seen in this tragedy, to try and get over there.
Right. And what really makes it so dangerous? Is it mostly about these criminal smuggling organizations?
Well, there are a combination of factors, and the danger starts from the moment these young migrants, and they are mainly young, some of them in this case, sadly, were tragically minors. It starts back home where they come from, countries like Ethiopia and Somalia. Many are trying to escape poverty and unemployment. Many spend days, sometimes weeks, walking through the deserts in the region to try and reach Djibouti. And often when they are in Djibouti, they are sadly apprehended by those who want to exploit them, people traffickers, smugglers who offer them passage, they say safe passage, to the Gulf on these rickety boats. Of course, many do die along the way. Some are abused, some are exploited in many different ways. And we've seen, for instance, IOM has seen, for instance, in Yemen, the reality and the case that thousands of migrants there are actually stranded because they can't get back to Djibouti. At the same time, you do also have Yemenis who are trying to flee the country due to the years of conflict there. So it's an incredibly important migrant route. It's an underreported and untold story. And IOM, the International Organization for Migration, we recently launched an appeal for around $85 million to try and address and meet the needs of those who need urgent evacuation from these places, who want to return home and are stuck, and those who are in need of aid, such as medical aid, food, water. I mean, you name it. Like I said, on these journeys, many have been walking for days, if not weeks.
Right. So in this particular case with the 12 who perished, why were they forced off that boat, as we've been reporting? And I mean, are they now looking at finding, those who are criminally responsible for killing these people?
Well, IOM staff have been able to speak firsthand to some of the survivors from this tragedy about what specifically took place, and what these eyewitness survivors who were on board when people were literally losing their lives say is that 3 of the smugglers who were controlling the vessel basically forced several of them into the sea by knife point, telling them that they could swim to shore, telling them that they could get to shore by swimming. Of course, these particular individuals couldn't swim and they perished. Some who did dive overboard because, of course, they were worried that they could be injured or killed. They've said to IOM that they swam for, some have said, up to 2 hours to reach the shore. So you can just imagine what a horrifying and terrifying situation it was. Now, what we know of the 34 that were on board, because there were 34 in total, 8 did perish. And in our migrant response center in Djibouti, where we assist migrants who are caught up in these situations, They are receiving medical attention and medical care, and of course the basic essentials, food, water, clothing, and of course psychosocial support and trauma counseling.
Okay. Yvonne Ndege joining us there from Nairobi. Thank you so much for that.